So this is a test of the quadruped BZP Pro Smart Scanner on a kind of cartoony looking giraffe that was downloaded from the the internet. I will actually come through and throw a shader on him. So you kind of see it's just a cartoony looking giraffe, pretty basic. And then I'm going to put him on a mesh layer. And just kind of add him just so we can kind of reference him and template him and do whatever we need to do. So I actually have the Smart Scanner installed on this machine, and it's actually launched with a button that I made in Maya. So I'm just going to hit this button and I'll launch the Smart Scanner. So start with the scale node, then execute the sketch skeleton. And then what you want to do is actually, you have to actually take this root of this character and move the root of the character to about where the root of the quadruped is. So just kind of move it about like that, maybe up a little bit. And forward. And that's about right. And when that's done, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to template this mesh and then grab the scale node and then just kind of scale this up a little bit so it's a little bit more of a approximate location where this thing should actually be. And then I'll just begin to come through and take these joints and just rough them into the approximate location. And this is a very odd, unique character with pretty non-conventional joints set up. So take this, move this over. Move this up. Take this and just kind of rotate this down. And just kind of get this in the approximate location. So you can see I'm kind of roughing it in to where this should actually be. And any joints that you want to add to this thing, you can add to them later. But that's approximation. And you want to kind of get this so the upper body is relatively close to the top of the spine. This is a very odd character. It's going to probably require a little bit of skinning cleanup, but it's still going to save a ton of time. It's going to slide this down a little bit. Rotate that in, rotate that back. Rotate this down. Rotate this down again. And if you want to add a toe on this, you can go ahead and do that. But this is for the basic leg IK setup. Just kind of rotate this down. And take this neck. I want to rotate this up. Kind of rotate this up this way. Just to kind of rough this out a little bit. It's possible that you might have to come through and clean this up because it's such a unique shape. And take this guy, translate him in, translate this guy out, rotate him out a little bit. And we'll rotate him out a little bit as well. Just slightly. And when that's done, go back to your GUI and just mirror it over. Create the final skeleton. Drop down B. Finalize the leaf joints. You kind of take your leaf joints and just, we're going to delete these actually, but you can just move them to where you would want them to be, mirror them over. Finalize the leaf joints. You can see now they're on two different layers. Driver skeleton, animation skeleton. Drop down any leaf joints that you don't want. I don't need hamstrings or biceps or pecs or lats. I could simplify the mobile if I wanted to, but I won't do that. And then select the mesh. Select the number of influences, 4. Does a bind. And then select either you want film horse, film game horse, mobile horse, film game line, mobile line. We'll pick film game horse. Ask for where the file is installed on the machine. And it's kind of brought in. And this is, you can see here that the mesh is kind of roughed in. I want to kind of scale this down, get a tighter file. We'll make it like a 0.5 on the overall scaler. Kind of roughs it in like this a little bit better. So you can see kind of how this thing is playing out. And we'll come through and just kind of rotate this up a little bit, just kind of get this in the proper proper spot. There'll probably be a little bit of skinning cleanup needing to be done. And some of the areas in here will have to be cleaned up slightly, but that's just the way this tool is actually designed. So come through and actually take these and rotate these on down. translate these a little bit. Get these on back. This rear area might need a little bit of cleanup, but probably not much. Just kind of sketch this out in the right right location. Kind of get these looking pretty good. And what you want to do ideally is cage your mesh around your proxy mesh. And there'll probably be some cleanup needing to be done here and there, but for the most part, it pretty much will automate and save quite a bit of time. Take this and just kind of translate this out. Move this down a little bit. You can see it's kind of blocked in. When you have that done, hit 8B. Transfers the skin weights. You can kind of come through, turn this layer off, and just kind of see what you got. You can see the weighting's kind of blocked in there. Looks relatively pretty good. Saves tons of time on the weighting and skinning of this object. That needs a little bit of work right there, so might want to come back and actually slide this down a little bit. Just skin weights again. And you can come through and just kind of clean this up where you need to. It's going to move a little bit, but depending on where you want the actual skinning to be. So there'll be some hind leg cleanup. So we're looking at probably about 5 minutes of cleanup, and then I'm going to go ahead and do that on this video. So when that's done, hit 8C and it references the file. So now you have a clean mesh, and then you just kind of come through and just say, okay, so where does this need cleaned up? So a little bit right here. So we'll just say the under animation, we'll just kind of come through and add at 0.1, just kind of rough this in a little bit. I'll make it like 0.5. And again, this is still saving tons of time. So And then on the other foot, I'll just clean this up a little bit. So that's right ankle. And just kind of come through and just kind of clean this up a little bit. And for the most part, I mean, to have your skinning done, we advertise that we'll get you about 90 to 95% there, and that's about what this is. And zero back out. And then there might have been a little bit of crunching here and there on the, well, not much. There's not that much of a range of motion here. Maybe you could come through and actually take this guy and if you wanted to, I mean, you need a crease, you need a bulge, but maybe if you need just a little bit more of a smoothness in there, you might want to come through and just kind of smooth this out a little bit. And again, this is so minimal to what the long way would be. A long way would be 30 hours. So just a little bit of smoothing out right there, just avoid a little bit of the crunching. And you probably use the corrected blend shape. This is a pretty low poly mesh as well. So yeah, that was good. And then zero it out. And then do the other side. That needed a little bit of work too, just a little bit of crunching. So you can see I'm flying through this relatively quickly. So this, is only taking me minutes to do as opposed to weeks. Yeah, it's good enough. And then when that's done, you have your mesh done the way that you want it to be, and he's actually moving around at a pretty good rate. Close down, drop down D, hit button 9, generates the entire control rig for you. So the entire control rig's done. Hitting the button below enables cartoony squash and stretch. Button below that enables the facial GUI. So you can see when I grab these controls now and actually move them around, this whole thing's rigged up and ready to be animated with. So this would have taken about 110 hours to do. And you can see with this system and setup, this was able to get done relatively quickly. You can see it's clean mesh, everything's moving good. For the most part, you have everything done. And yes, 110 hours were saved. I hope you enjoyed the demo. BZP Pro. This rig is at the level of Industrial Light and Magic, where I was on the steering committee of several years back, as well as something you might see at EA Sports in terms of complexity. More likely ILM. And there you go. Any other joints you want to add to this? You want to add a jaw or whatever you want to add, go ahead and do it this time. And you have a completed rig. And at this point, you can put any corrective sculpts on there that you want to put on. So any corrective sculpting that you want to do in the rig itself, you can go ahead and do. It's a clean mesh. And what's important in a rig is that the skin weighting is all clean. That way when you add corrective sculpts to it, so if you want to do something where when you rotate this down there's less of an arc, this is very kind of a Madagascar looking deformation, but you can kind of add whatever you want to add. The important thing is that for skinning, this is video game ready. For skinning for film, you want to have a clean mesh with clean skin data on it that you can actually add your corrective sculpts to at a different time. And that is what we have achieved. So if there's collapsing around where it comes in, where the joints are placed as well. But for the most part, you have a clean finished mesh that is entirely rigged. And this would have taken 110 hours, like I said, done in 10 or 15 minutes. Thank you for your time.